Hello, hello. Welcome, my little SSS dealers, as we are here for the Season 5 Supreme 7-Star Draft League award ceremony as we get to go over this great season and recognize all of the great talents from the season, all the great things that happened this season. Starting off, we have got our standings. Normally, this comes up right as we're going into playoffs, but of course, this is coming out after finals are already complete. Sorry about that. That's my bad. But we can still recognize what an awesome regular season was. And this was actually one of, if not definitely, our most polarizing regular season. The second and third time we've ever had two 8-0 coaches. Obviously, the first time we've had two of them, and just the second time we've ever had an 0-8 coach. Thank you so much to everyone for playing, even those of you who don't make playoffs, everyone who did make playoffs. I appreciate all of your effort going into the season. As always, you guys do so great playing your games, and I don't ever want that to be unappreciated. But congratulations especially to Ystream, Jaden, John, Ryan, Sam, Phoenix, Haxon, and Abasha for making playoffs. I think we still had an interesting playoff race. Chickadee, McGriddleso, and Log were all fighting for those last spots with Phoenix, Haxon, and Abasha. Came down to that last week. Like Phoenix was winning in, but when Haxon and Abasha lost their games, it got a little dicey, and it really came down to that differential. Now we can look at our kill leaders, starting with my boy, Simi Sear, led the league with 16 KOs this season. Comes in right at third most KOs all time, below Greninja last season with 17 and Chien Pao in season 2 with 17. So logging 16 kills, pretty cool there. Of course, we have Manectric coming in with 11, and then rounding out our guys with double-digit KOs in the regular season. It's my Weird Ear, Sam Sawsbuck, Chickadee's Lycanroc Midnight, and Ryan's Bruxish. And then obviously some other great performances here. Vigoroth, Mightyena, Scyther, and Dodrio round out our top 10. And then there's quite a few guys who get added to our 1,000 damage club with Simisear, Sawsbuck, Lycanroc, Scyther, to name the ones here on the top 20. I believe there might be one other one. This was an interesting season kill dispense-wise, like dispersal-wise, I guess. I feel like there was less top-end kill leaders as there were, especially last season, but even in previous seasons, I feel like we usually have a couple in that 13 to 15 range that we didn't quite get this season, but I think most people found that their adequate playstyle was to spread out the KOs and racking up KOs with passive damage and stuff like that more so than any other season, and I think that worked for a lot of people. And that's why we have a little bit more of a averaged out kill leaderboard rather than a top end one, but super interesting stuff. It was just such an unpredictable season, knowing what, like, if you asked me at the beginning of the season, I never would have guessed half the. I mean, it's just so fun looking at this board and being like, yes, this was our top 20 kill leaders. Just ultra low tier was such a unique and fun format. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it with me. Now we can get into the all SSSDL teams, starting with the all defensive teams. As a reminder for those who are new, or just in general, the Pokemon are not ranked within the graphics themselves. They are just ranked between first team, second team, and second team, third team. So if there's no, the first Pokemon you look at isn't the best within these teams, it doesn't matter. These teams were harder to put together than usual, but it was super fun watching back all the games and really honing in. Thank you guys that submitted your nominees for your team, so I had stuff to really pay attention to when I was watching back. And when people are like, "This was my best defensive Pokemon," and then I go watch back, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I see what you mean." Super helpful. I think that's something I'll continue to do in future seasons. So please keep that type of stuff in mind for things you want to nominate next season. Will be super helpful. But starting off with all defensive first team, we've got Lickitung from Phoenix's Toronto Typhlosions, Vigoroth from Ystream's Aussie Arcanines, Illumise from Ryan's Regi Spice, Quagsire from Samke's Ghost City Go-Goats, Carkol from John's Edmonton Emolgos, and Sableye from Chickadee's Indonesian Infernapes. This season I decided to add the Terra representation because I think it's pretty important context for how a Pokemon performed and can be more relevant or less relevant depending on some factors, but super relevant, I think, especially for all defensive teams. Obviously, you see 4 out of 6 here were Terra Caps. I think just worked super well in ultra low tier. But going over these Pokemon individually, Lickitung and Vigoroth, really not much needs to be said. These Pokemon were quite infamous around the league as being like big defensive stoppers, absolute walls, pretty crazy with Terra. Probably both pretty under tiered. That one's on me. Ryan's Illumise was the backbone of his defense. Great utility, great defense, roosting, T-waving, encoring, did its thing. Quagsire for Sam was super instrumental in both his regular season and postseason run. I believe it took him most damage, both total and for the regular season. And then we have John's Terra Carkle. This one didn't put up game-breaking numbers, but of course John had his best season ever, and Carkle I think was a big reason that every time I saw this thing coming in, it was doing crazy things. It was flame bodying, it was Terra ghosting, spin blocking, it was getting off its own spin, it was hazarding. Really liked what I saw out of Carkle this season. John utilized it great. And then Sableye, I could have told you Sableye was going to be a monster going into this season for Chickadee, but Sableye was in fact a monster defensively. Crazy how strong that mon is in a format like this. Moving on to our all defensive second team, we've got Hisui and Sliggoo from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins, Alolan Persian from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins, Bastiodon from Abash's Heartham Hunters, Muck from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers, Murkrow from Wisdom's Atlanta Braviaries, and Turtonator from Ystream's Aussie Arcanines. Starting off, I've got my two defensive pivots that helped me get to 8-0 on the regular season. Sliggoo was really my main backbone. Only having two weaknesses and being able to pair that with things like Togetic and Samurai and Persian were super, super helpful. I found that Sliggoo was incredibly bulky with and even without Eviolite, which was really cool and interesting. It allowed me to be pretty flexible and not have to worry about knockoff the same way a lot of other NFEs might have to. Persian was also huge for me. Persian was a little bit less of a backbone and more of a fill in the gaps. It could always rely on it to take at least one physical hit for me, and then its utility was priceless. Being able to parting shot, T-Wave, Toxic, Foul Play, Knockoff, super cool moveset. I really enjoyed using Alolan Persian this season. Bastiodon was great for a Bastion, just as that A1 defensive mom for him. And, it ran some cool sets, getting hazards up, spreading status, did its thing. Muck could be said for a lot of the same thing from McGriddle, he used his setup quite a bit, but it was defensively quite strong throughout this season, taking hits. I know I struggled with it when I played against him. Murkrow for Wisdom, I believe Murkrow might have taken the most damage this season, or it took a ridiculous amount, like 1100 or something. Pretty cool for an NFE, especially one that normally is like taking rocks damage and stuff, and I would not say is like known as a bulky mon the same way like Sliggoo is. So I really like what Wisdom did with Murkrow. And then Turtonator was that Livestream told me himself that it was Vigoroth and then Turtonator, and then nobody else provided significant defensive value on his team. And watching back those games, Turtonator was a defensive standout in the way Livestream was able to use it throughout this season, which was very cool. And then moving on to our all SSSDL teams, we are starting with the best 6 Pokemon from this season. We've got Bruxish from Ryan's Regi Spice, Vigoroth from Widestream's Aussie Arcanines, Weirdeer from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins, Manectric from Widestream's Aussie Arcanines, Simisear from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchin, and Sawsbuck from Sam's Ghost City Go-Goats. Starting with Bruxish, the first overall pick, I would say it met expectations. I wouldn't say it exceeded expectations. I was a little worried this thing was broken as we were loading into this season, but Bruxish was still great, found its way to 10 KOs and 900% damage. Vigoroth, obviously, as we talked about, being on all SSSDL defensive first team, was a defensive standout. Still managed to pick up 9 KOs and 950% damage, and only died once this season, which is fantastic. Weirdeer for me was definitely one of my 2 best Pokemon this season. It was really between Weirdeer and Simisear. Whoever had the better matchup was really taking up that main offensive head roll, which was really great. I loved using Weirdeer more than probably any other Pokemon I used this season. Super fun. It also had so much defensive versatility, whether I was using it Assault Vest or Intim Bulky or offensive with setup, super good. Manectric was kind of quiet throughout this season. Like, I feel like it was putting up quiet 3Ks multiple times this season, and then it found its way to second on the kill leaderboard with 11. Just 700% damage, but still a great season. It also won a Heat of the Week somewhere in there with a Magnet Rise Switcheroo Ring Target. Super cool set by Widestream there. Simisear obviously led the league in KOs. What else is there to be said about Simisear right now? 1136 damage was good enough for top 5 in the league, I believe. And then Sam Sawsbuck was fantastic. He started the season with more of a vision of Scarf Headbutt flinching with Serene Grace, and then I think as he learned his team and learned Sawsbuck, he learned the defensive versatility that Sawsbuck comes with Leech Seed. I think Sawsbuck did really great things, and that's why it ended up being in our top 5 kill leaders as well as like taking 1200 damage and dealing just shy of 1200 damage. Sawsbuck was really great. Moving on to second team, we've got Lycanroc Midnight from Chickadee's Indonesian Infernape, Dodrio from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers, Scyther from Frank's Guantanamo Greninjas, Rapidash from John's Edmonton Emolgas, Illumise from Ryan's Red Eye Spice, and Mightyena from Abash's Hearthome Haunters. Lycanroc was another one of those Pokemon that I think was pretty quiet throughout the season and still found its way to 10 KOs. Lycanroc was pretty threatening throughout this whole season. I know it was super threatening when I played against it. Same thing can be said for Dodrio. Dodrio, I think it was on everyone's radar, found its way to 9 KOs this season on a team that wasn't able to make playoffs, but Dodrio was the true standout on the Bronx Bombers this season. I think everyone struggled with that. When I asked for people to mention Pokemon they struggled with, Dodrio came up multiple times. Scyther was our direct damage leader, I believe, with 1218 this season. Scyther on Frank's Guantanamo Greninjas found its way to 9 KOs, and of course the damage leader. Rapidash was the main offensive piece for John's Miracle 6-2 season, and then Illumise was both offensively and defensively and utility-wise super valuable for Ryan's team. Ended up coming second on his team in KOs at 7-4 with 700% damage and took just shy of 1,000. And then Mightyena was actually one of the biggest surprises to me this season. Mightyena kind of on paper looks like, you think about it first glance, you're like, yeah, Mightyena sounds cool. Go look at Mightyena's stats, and I think you'll be pretty surprised this thing found its way to 9 KOs even with Terra. Mightyena is one of the lowest point value Pokemon that ended up making it this season. It might be the lowest point value Pokemon that ended up making all SSSDL this season. So really cool stuff out of Abasha to get Mightyena in the top 10 of our kill leader this season. Moving on to all SSSDL third team, we've got Delcatty from Fletchhead's Montreal Malignants, Lickitung from Phoenix's Toronto Typhlosions, Clawwitzer from Logs Undella Wishful Umbreons, Drakloak from Haxon's Dark Continent Decidueyes, Alolan Dugtrio from Stream's Aussie Arcanines, and Alolan Persian from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins. Definitely a lot of Pokemon here that didn't quite make the playoffs, but still put up great individual regular seasons. I think it would be a disgrace not to recognize Delcatty's 8 games played, 8 KOs, 8 deaths regular season. Came just shy of 1,000 damage. Fletch definitely made Delcatty the offensive superstar of this team. Really tried to feed the ball through Delcatty, and I would say Delcatty didn't quite let down. Of course, the team did go 0-8, but that could be said for some other reasons on the team. Doesn't have to rely all on Delcatty. Lickitung, like we talked about on the all-DF defensive team, Lickitung did not provide a lot of offensive damage output, but Lickitung was still fantastic this season. And that's why it finds itself here. Took just shy of 1,200 damage, 200 passive damage, just shy of 700 damage, went 4-3, and Phoenix put together a great season that allowed him to end up being the 5 seed, I believe, 5 or 6 seed at 5-3 this season. And then, of course, he went on to win his first playoff game against Bystream, which was great. And Lickitung was a big part of that. Clawwitzer for Logan was probably his best Pokemon this season. Went 8-4, 600% damage. Clawwitzer was pretty cool throughout this season. I like seeing it. Drakloak for Haxon finds his way here. The future champ, Drakloak, with Terra was quite good this season. 8 games, 6 KOs, 5 deaths. It was a Terra cleaner. I think I found that it had the most value on Haxon's team. It's the scariest thing in prep, which is valuable. And then I think it did well enough in its games it played. And then Dugtrio for Ystream found itself as the number 12 on the kill leaderboard at 8-3. It did lack a lot of damage, which did not make me want to go much higher with it than third team, with just shy of 500% damage dealt, picking up 8 KOs. You can see where the disconnect is there. But of course, Ystream did win 8 games, and Dugtrio came to 6 of those games, so you can't discredit that value. And kind of similar thing going with Persian. Of course, Persian was just below Dugtrio at 8-4 this season, came to all 8 of my games, and I won all 8 of my regular season games. Persian did about 670% damage, took about 500%. Like I said, with it on all defensive team, both the offensive and defensive and utility value was super crucial to how we got here. And with that, we can move on to the individual awards, starting with Terra Captain of the Year. Your nominees are Ryan's Illumise, Ystream's Vigoroth, and Abashta's Mightyena. All 3 of these Pokemon put together great seasons. All 3 of them ended up being all SSSDL, second team or higher. Like I said with Mightyena, 9 KOs being one of the lower tier mons this season was really cool. Vigoroth, defensive monster, offensive monster, 8-0. Illumise, defensively strong, utility strong, offensively and defensively relevant. Your winner for Terra Captain of the Year for SSSDL Season 5 is going to be Vigoroth from Ystream's Aussie Arcanines. I think this comes as a surprise to no one that Vigoroth is up here as probably the strongest Terra Cap this season. So congratulations to Ystream on not only a great regular season, but a great season for Vigoroth getting up here. This will not be the first time. If you've seen the nominees, we will be talking about Vigoroth, so I'll hold back some more for later nomination. Now we've got the least valuable Pokemon of the year, of course, the favorite, the worst award to win or lose this season. Your nominees are Liepard from Fletchhead's Montreal Malignants, Exeggutor Lola from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers, and Dusknoir from Wisdom's Atlanta Braviaries. Liepard makes it up here because obviously I think the 0-8 team at least deserves a nomination at the very least. Liepard only came to 4 games, but you can see those stats. It really wasn't that impactful in any of those 4 games, only finding 1 KO this season for a Pokemon that was about 14-15 points if I remember correctly. Exeggutor Lola was a 20-point Pokemon, one of the highest on the board, came to all 8 of McGriddleso's games. McGriddleso's normally a coach that makes the playoffs, couldn't find a way this season, and I think a large part of that was Exeggutor being a massive, massive disappointment, finding itself only 1 KO in 8 games, only doing 300% damage. It did take 1,000, but dying 7 times. This is a Pokemon with recovery. That doesn't translate super well. It did find itself to 3 wins, which is more than the other 2 Pokemon here. Dusknoir came to 7 games. It actually did a pretty substantial amount of damage with 840, took 800, but I think it is worth saying as one of the high tiers as well. I believe Dusknoir is 18 or higher on points. Wisdom did manage to win a game this season, and it was the one game Dusknoir did not come to, so I think that's kind of funny. But your winner or loser of least valuable Pokemon of the year is going to be Exeggutor Alola from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers. I think just being a 20-pointer, managing to only pick up 1 KO is kind of like super, super, super bad. So pretty awful season for Exeggutor. We'll see if he can bounce back in future seasons. And then we've got a little new LVP trophy here made by Frank, the coach of the Guantanamo Greninjas in our league. I think it's very fun. We've got the Fraud Iron Leaves Award, officially official. So pretty cool stuff. Our next award is going to be the fan favorite, our newest award. I had everyone vote on their 3 favorite Pokemon from the league this season. I gave 3 points to first place votes, 2 points to second place votes, and 1 point to third place votes. And these were our nominees for the top 3 vote getters: Delcatty from Fletch's Montreal Malignants, Vigoroth from Ystream's Aussie Arcanines, and Lickitung from Phoenix's Toronto Typhlosions. Ampharos also tied with the nominee that got the third most votes. I won't reveal who that is yet. But Ampharos from also Phoenix's Toronto Typhlosions deserves a nod here. I don't really have any commentary on why things were the favorite. I actually have no idea how Vigoroth and Lickitung found their way here. I feel like those mons were like nightmares. Like Lickitung just ran Seismic Toss, Toxic Stall, but I guess y'all loved it. Same with Vigoroth, kind of the same thing, but people just love a little underdog story for a Pokemon that, you know, was allowed to Terra and played well, and that's why the winner is Vigoroth from Ystream's Aussie Arcanines. Finds itself here as the first ever fan favorite in Supreme 7-Star Draft League. Not much to say. I guess y'all love Vigoroth. I don't think I voted for it, but Vigoroth found its way with the most votes. Then Lickitung was actually in second, and Delcatty and Ampharos tied for third. I thought Delcatty was going to win. And next we've got Heat of the Year, the most fun award of the season in my opinion. I feel like we have slightly weaker nominees than we normally do, but still nonetheless, we still got some interesting stuff. Dedenne from Fletchhead's Week 5 ran Endure, Cheek Pouch, Pitaya Berry with Charge, and found its way to 2 KOs with that strategy, which I thought was pretty fun. Manectric had one of the most creative sets this season with Magnet Rise Switcheroo, where it held Ring Target, switcherooed it onto a Marowak, clicked Magnet Rise to dodge the Earthquake, and then hit it with a Thunderbolt, which was pretty cool. And then Delcatty goes here, not necessarily for it is for the week 1, but just I think for the strategy in general, I wanted to nominate it. But Fletch had designed a team in this format around the move Assist, which is super creative, probably the most creative thing I've seen anyone do in Supreme 7-Star Draft League, and that's why the winner is going to be Fletchhead's Delcatty. You can see here on week 1, clicking Normalize Water Spout here on the right with Choice Specs, it just gets to spam Assist, and I mean, just look at the damage. That's a Boom Burst, takes a bunch of damage there, gets to throw off another Water Spout, enough to KO, and guess what? Delcatty's still not done. Go-Go comes out. Oh, catch this Boom Burst. Good night. Choice Specs, Delcatty, super fun. He had to run like Dig, Copycat, and Mimic with it because you don't want Assist calling other moves. You just want it calling those super strong moves. And so shout out to Fletch for coming up with a super creative strategy. Of course, it did not work super well for him going 0-8, but nonetheless, I think Fletch had the most fun out of anyone. Thank you, Fletch, for making the league more fun this season. Next award, we've got the most improved Pokemon. This one is a little funky to put together because, like, you can see the seasons they're growing off of, none of them played more than 1 game. There were about 8 Pokemon that were eligible. I just kind of decided to put the best Pokemon from the season here that, you know, they kind of went from bench warmers to stars. So that's kind of their most improved version. It wasn't really a disappointment into a star season. It was more of just bench warming. But your nominees are Dodrio from McGriddle's Bronx Bombers, Rapidash from the Edmonton Emolgas, and Pyroar from the Regis Spice. Dodrio, like we said on the All-SS SDL team, offensively very threatening. Rapidash, same thing, was a offensive pivot point for John's team and allowed him to find his way to a great season. Rapidash did come to all 8 games, and then Pyroar was offensively pretty strong for Ryan, finding his way to 800% damage, 8 KOs, and 4 wins in 6 games. All of these Pokemon are basically coming off of the same season, so that's not super factoring into who wins it, and that's why I am giving this award to the Pokemon I think it did just perform the best of these 3 Pokemon this season. Your most improved Pokemon for Season 5 is going to be Rapidash from the Edmonton Emolgas. I think Rapidash put together a great season. I think John put together a great season, and that's why Rapidash finds itself here as the most improved Pokemon this season. Congratulations to John for winning this award and Rapidash for putting together a great season. Our next award is going to be Rookie of the Year, but I will not be revealing Rookie of the Year. These are all 3 MVP candidates, as none of these Pokemon really, none of the Pokemon this season really played much before, so basically the 3 best Pokemon from the season are the Rookie of the Year, so I will not be revealing Rookie of the Year at this time. Just know, when the MVP wins, that is the same as the Rookie of the Year. So, our next actual award is Defensive Pokemon of the Year for Season 5. We've got Samkey's Quagsire, we've got Phoenix's Lickitung, and Ystream's Vigoroth again. All 3 of these Pokemon were defensive monsters. You see Quagsire took 1,400 damage, Lickitung 1,100, Vigoroth 1,100, both just shy of 1,200. Those 2 put up about 1,200 passive damage, and Quagsire put up 500 passive damage, which was pretty strong. Vigoroth and Lickitung. Vigoroth only picked up 1 KO this season, allowing it to take 1,100 per death this season. Both of them put up really good win percentage, 5 wins in 7 games for Lickitung and 8 wins in 8 games for Vigoroth. Your winner for Defensive Pokemon of the Year is going to be Vigoroth. Yeah, it's hard to deny Vigoroth from being a great Pokemon this season on the #1 team in the league with the best differential in league history. Vigoroth really was the shining star throughout this team's season, both in its great moments and in its eventual demise. Vigoroth played a big part in that as well. Vigoroth is the best defensive Pokemon from this season, I think, hands down. I think Lickitung and Quagsire were both great. They were definitely the second and third options, and I think they're the fourth option. Like you're going down pretty far after those three. I'd probably say it's John's Carkle after that, but Vigoroth was, I think, head and shoulders above the rest and put together such a great season. Next, we've got Coach of the Year. Your nominees are Ystream, Jaden, and John. Ystream, of course, went 8-0 with the best differential ever with the #1 seed, had 3 All-SSSDL Pokemon. Jaden, 8-0 with the second best differential in league history, comes in at the 2 seed with 3 All-SSSDL Pokemon. And then John put together a great season at 6-2 plus 5, the #3 seeded team. He has 1 All-SSDL Pokemon. Your winner for Coach of the Year is going to be Ystream from the Aussie Arcanines finds himself here. Ystream, the GOAT, for going 8-0 plus 24. Hard to deny that he was not the best coach this season. He finds himself to his first Coach of the Year award. As much as I did really want to give it to John, you go look at John's schedule. I think there were some easier games in there. He got a forfeit win in there. I think Ystream not only had a harder schedule, he performed better. Truly think it was a great season for Ystream. I think it would be a travesty not to award him with this Coach of the Year. Congratulations, Ystream, on a great regular season. Moving on to our final individual award, the most valuable Pokemon. Your nominees are Sawsbuck from the Ghost City Go-Goats, Simisear from the Pearl City Pink Urchins, and Vigoroth from the Aussie Arcanines. All 3 of these Pokemon have different reasons that they find themselves here. Simisear obviously was the kill leader with 16 KOs, went 100% win percentage in 7 games, led its team to the #2 seed. Vigoroth was a defensive monster, an offensive monster, and then of course led the team to 8-0 in all 8 games it played, only died once this season, and of course the team was the #1 seed. And then Sawsbuck finds itself for playing all 8 games, 10 KOs, 1100 damage, 1100 taken, so it has some of that offense, it has some of that defense, more kills than Vigoroth, a little less damage taken, finds itself only to 5 wins on the #5 seed. The winner of the most valuable Pokemon is Simisear from my Pearl City Pink Urchins. I truly do think Simisear put together the best season this season, but I did really seriously heavily consider Vigoroth. And I think most people would end up agreeing based on what I read in the nominations that Simisear was a more feared Pokemon throughout this season, and Simisear just consistently was putting up 2-3 KO games. It really wasn't a damage farmer. It still found its way to 1100 damage, 7-0 on an 8-0 team. Really hard to discredit. Simisear was a Pokemon that got drafted at the very end, and then I dropped it in Grace, and then I repicked it up. Simisear just such a storyline season, and then in week 1, picking up 5 KOs in a reverse sweep to win the game. I was nearly out. I had to hit 3 Fire Blasts in a row, and that really started an epic season for both my team and for Simisear. So I want to personally thank Simisear for making this season so fun for me, and just I had so much invested, and just this silly Pokemon that before coming into this season, I hate how it looked. And it's just a Pokemon you never consider using. Simisear was so fun and will forever go down as one of my all-time favorites, and one of the silliest Pokemon to put up 16 KOs in this league's history. Congratulations to Simisear for being the most valuable Pokemon this season. With that being said, we can get into the individual preseason pick'ems, kind of look at everyone's summary of the season, starting with Frank, who had the first overall pick before trading it away to Ryan. Frank had an over-under of 2.5, got a 50-50 split, went 2 wins under. His side bet with Sword Stances used. Pretty good line at 8.5. He used 7 of them between like Sneasel, Scyther, Sceptile. He actually used like 4 in week 1 and then only used 3 throughout the entire rest of the season. Majority of people get that one right. Moving on, I gotta fly through these. There's so many. This video is gonna be so long. We got Wisdom, who had a line of 2.5. He unfortunately only found himself to 1 win this season. His side bet was about Drampa getting Berserk procs. Actually, almost everyone said over on 3.5, and it only found its way to 2. Unfortunate. Moving on, we've got the third coach, John, who gets his own, for the first time ever, had a special chart where I set the line to over under 3 lines, 3 wins, which means you had the option to select 3 wins, which 64% of people did, and John doubled that. After getting 3 wins in seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, in season 5, John turned things around and doubled that, got to 6 wins, which is just awesome. His side bet was for Chatot Boomburst. He actually only brought Chatot to 2 games, so it only got to use 4 Boombursts. Next, we've got Bastia. His line was 3.5. Most people said over. He still found himself into playoffs, but he did hit the under on his line. His side bet was for Zora Hisui immunity on normal or ghost or fighting type moves. It did not happen once this season, but most people thought it would. Moving on, we've got McGriddleso, had a line of 4.5. He hits the under with 3 wins, and then his side bet. This one's pretty fascinating. Definitely the worst line I have ever set. I blame Sam, honestly. I'm just kidding. Hippopotas passive damage, I set the line at 164.5, which was, like it comes to like 4 games this season, and then it's getting like 60 a game. You get some Stealth Rock, you get some Sand Ship. We did like calculations to figure this one out, what we thought was reasonable. Turns out Hippopotas put up the most passive damage in a league history this season. So McGriddleso really set out to make me look stupid, and he succeeded in that one. So congratulations on that, and congrats on everyone who hit the over on that. Next, we got Phoenix, who is coming back after a 2-gap season, I believe, break. Had a line of 3.5 and smashed that with 5 wins. Very impressive. His side bet was for Combusken Speed Boost. Fantastic line at 8.5. He hits 9. I think like 5 of them are in the game where Combusken 6-0'd Wisdom. But yeah. We've got Ryan, had a line of 5.5, just barely comes in at that under with 5 wins. I don't think there's anything to be disappointed with there. His side bet, another fantastic line set by me. I'll take my L's with the Hippopotoses of the world and the Chatouts of the world, but I will take my dubs when I'm getting a 10 on a 9.5 line. He actually did not use Circle Throw once. He Storm Throw 10 times, and that is what gets it to that over and a half of 9.5. Next, we've got Haxon, the future champ. Had a line of 3.5. It's the over on 4 wins, makes the playoffs, goes on an immaculate run. Side bet was Mudbray Stamina Boost. Most people thought I'd go over on 11.5. Ended up only having 8 in the regular season. We've got Fletchhead. Had a line of 4.5 after a couple of pretty solid seasons. His line will be adjusted next season, and hopefully he can bounce back from 0-8. His side bet was Trick Rooms Used. I actually wanted to put Assist as his side bet because I knew that's what he was doing from Speed Tours because he tried something similar. But I just didn't want to reveal his strategy, and I thought he had a little bit of Trick Room synergy. He did not use Trick Room, so I'll hold an L as a bad line and a bad side bet on that one. My bad. We've got Chick and the Indonesian Infernapes, over-under of 3.5. Comes in just shy at 3 wins after making playoffs last season. His side bet will forever be Pokemon missing moves. He actually goes under this season. He only missed 3 attacks between his Hurricanes this season with non-Drizzle Pelipper, Hydro Pumps, I believe. Next, we've got me with a over-under of 5.5, which is pretty strong. And, of course, I went 8-0, so I smashed that. We'll see what happens next season. My side bet was for Sand/Rapid Spins. I actually didn't think I'd do it that much. I thought I'd rely a little bit more on Togetic Defogs, but I do hit the over with 6, so quite a bit. Not a great line, honestly, but most people get that one right. Next, we've got Sam, had an underline of 4.5, and he just barely hits the over with 5. Great season. His side bet was for Sawsbuck, Serene Grace, Headbutt Flinches. His line was 10.5. He only picked up 7. I believe he had like 3 in week 1, so he was super on pace. And then he just kind of started to run Sap Sipper or Return and wasn't picking up those flinches the same way. So that's why this line ends up like it does. Next, we've got Y-Stream. Had a line of 4.5 after making finals last season. Goes 8-0 in the regular season, no big deal. Smashes his over. His side bet was for Wishy-Washy form deactivation. I did not realize how crazy Wishy-Washy, it makes me kind of want to think about drafting it in a regular season, because it doesn't deactivate until after the turn, so it gets to attack no matter what. It only deactivated into the small form twice this season, and then basically just got KO'd both times right after that. So it wasn't super relevant, but most people are right on the under there. I thought it would happen like almost every game. Next, we've got Log and the Undell Wishful Umbreons. The former champ had 4.5 line, hits the under with 3 wins this season. His side bet was for pivot moves used. Only used 3 this season. I guess that's just the nature of ultra low tier. He had some parting shot users, didn't end up using it too much. So 14.5 line was definitely my second worst line this season, but most people did click over to the 35% of people who got that one right. Good job. And then we've got the individual Pokemon, the 3 water types here at the top, all barely hit under, but I think all 3 are pretty good lines. Bruxus at 10.5 hits 10, most people get that wrong. Clawitzer 8.5 hits 8, most people get that right. Wishy-Washy 8.5 hits 7, most people get that right. And then we've got Drampa with 9.5, only hits 3, unfortunately. That team didn't perform quite as well this season. And then I think this is the line I'm most proud of. The Parlay, Lycanroc Midnight plus Kadabra plus Terra plus 17.5. Just barely hits under with 17. 21% of people, I think that's either 2 or 3 people picking it, get it right. And then forfeits, unfortunately, I'm going to count the over. There wasn't a scheduling forfeit loss, but there was Chickadee clicking Quiver Dance Dustox and then sweeping John, which we did have to reverse to a John win. So we do technically have our first forfeit this season. It'll be that. And then new playoffs team, the line was 2.5. We had 4 between John, Ryan, Phoenix, and Abastia this season. And then we've got the Pokemon with 10 plus KOs. We only had 6, so we hit the under. And then the amount of 6-0s this season, we actually only had 1. It was Phoenix 6-0ing, or no, not Phoenix 6-0ing Wisdom. That was a 5-0. Combusken picked up 6 KOs, though. It was Ryan 6-0ing Fletch in week 3, I want to say. Something like that. Yeah, week 3. Ryan 6-0'd Fletch with a Terra Ghost Spritzy, destroying his assist boom burst strategy, unfortunately. And then we've got playoff predictions. I want to pull these up so you guys could kind of see what people are betting on and what the general league zeitgeist on people making playoffs are. The highest predicted person was Ryan with 14 out of 14 votes, and he did make playoffs. And then me at 13, Sam at 12, Ystream and Log at 11. Of course, Log does miss, unfortunately, this season. But, like, who's betting against the champ all that hard? I guess 3 people were, and they were right. Haxon makes it, tied with John and Phoenix John and Phoenix for the least amount of votes with just 4 votes. So congratulations to them for exceeding expectations. I'm always super happy when people exceed expectations. I love when the league isn't just chalk and different people are succeeding. It makes the league super fun. Our semifinals predictions: Phoenix, Haxon, Jaden, and Sam make it. I was the most bet on person with 12, and I did. And then Ryan, who was 11 but did not make it after Sam upset him in round 1. Sam was the next most bet on person. And then Ystream, who went out in the first round. And then Phoenix with only 1 vote makes it, and Haxon with only 1 vote makes it. So once again, congratulations to them for exceeding expectations. And then our finals predictions: most bet on, Ryan and me. Neither of us made it. Haxon and Sam combined for 4 votes, 3 for Sam, 1 for Haxon. Congrats on both of them making finals. And then, of course, the winner was Haxon. No one voted for Haxon last season. I wonder if that will change next season. And then we've got, of course, I just want to congratulate Haxon on winning such a cool season, putting together, I think, I look at this team and I was not inspired by greatness when I had mocked with this team, when I played against this team. This team doesn't look special to me, but I think it really truly embodies what this ultra low tier season was about, which was NFEs shining between Reboot, Quaxwell, Draklo, Tangela, Pawniard. So many NFEs on this team. Applin down there in the middle, don't forget the boy. They all shined in their own ways. I am here awarding Pawniard Finals MVP for the big crit on Woobat and then picking up another 2 KOs throughout the game. Pawniard was spectacular in that game. Tangela obviously gave me hell in the semifinals with 5 KOs. Reboot was such a huge midseason pickup for Haxon, and they went on to really dominate with Reboot. Once that team really turned around, that was probably the biggest transactions that have ever happened in this league. Drakloak was all SSSDL. Gumshoos was valuable when it was being used. Garbodor and Cryogonal both did their thing. I think everyone on this team did their part, and that's what led them to being the Season 5 champions. So once again, congratulations to Haxon for their first ever championship in Pokemon Draft League, and I'm happy to host it here. So really cool stuff. And the last thing I want to go over is the leaderboard. This is how it's going, but these are the winners. Nick Riddleso wins with 27 points on the preseason pick'ems, does the best. If anyone wants to see their individual breakdown, shoot me a DM and I can show you what you voted on if you don't remember. Sam comes in second with 26.5. If Sam won finals, he would have also won this because he picked himself for finals. Ystream comes in at third with 26, and then Haxon, Frank, and Log and Chick round out our top half. Me and John tie for last with 19.5. Let's go, John. And then lastly, the All-Star game. I still want to run it. It would be me versus Phoenix. I hope you guys watched last season. Basically the same thing. It will be drafting from the 18 all SSSDL performers from Bruxish to Persian. Me and Phoenix will do a snake draft and then prep and then play 9 versus 9 with all of the league stars. It's just for fun. There's no stakes on it. But yeah, hopefully we can get that scheduled somewhat soon now that the teams are out, and maybe get it out before Season 6 draft starts. I have no idea. It's been a little tight with the scheduling. I apologize for that, and I hope to do better next season. So thank you guys for sticking with me through that, and thank you guys once again for just such a fun season. I think this is the format I've had the most fun with. It was just so fun watching other people's teams, prepping with my own team. It was just a unique experience. I've never experienced anything like it. I'm super open to running it in a couple seasons in the future. There's so many Pokemon on the draft board I wish we got to see happen, like the Galicipods of the world and stuff like that. I wish we just got to see what they do in this format. So I look forward to the next time we play this format, if that's what people want. But next season, Season 6 will be normal standard Gen 9 Nat Dex draft as we are getting ready for Legends ZA. Who knows if we're getting those megas right away? If we get them right away, Season 8 might have them, or Season 7 might have them. We will see. But I look forward to just a season reset. It's been a while. I feel like a lot of us have been playing between here and those of us who are in SDL, playing a lot of these fun, silly formats. I kind of want to bring it back to this standard, see how people remember how to play actual Pokemon. But yeah, so thank you guys for a fantastic season. Thank you for watching the awards video, and overall just having a fun time, being a great community. Yeah, so thank you. Bye-bye.